met a big drug bust. Guy lived actually about 200 feet from a school. Our guys did a ton of work. Made a huge drug bust on a guy that's a multiple time offender. I don't remember the exact numbers now. I think the bond was like $250,000 that the DA set, or recommended, if you will. Guy got to the magistrate court and his bond got reduced to like $75,000.
Hey, Blue Grit Podcast, we are back this week. It's your co-host, Clint McNear, and Tyler Owen.
What's going on, man?
Just working, baby. Working on my JLB.
I hear you.
How about you?
Been busy. As you have been, with everything going on across the Tmpa and Texas FOP. But no, I'm doing great. I had to take off work I guess it took 2 vacation days last Thursday and Friday. I admit that I had some honeydews to take care of. So
Did you get your fireplace built?
I successfully built an electric fireplace in my house, and my wife was quite shocked and pleased at the same token.
You know, there's benefits and downsides to that.
I know. Now, she kind of offended me. We had some friends over Saturday night, so they were all walking through the house, and they were like, "Oh my God, who did y'all get to build this?" And of course, Janet was proud at that point to say, "My husband." Right. So now I'm assuming that there's going to be some more honeydew projects in the near future. So I may have some more vacation days to work at home.
You've now set an expectation.
I have now set the standard of what I can do and what I'm capable of. So
I don't accomplish much. Yeah. That way there's not much expected.
No, it is what it is. So
who do we got on?
Man, through my career at Tmpa, we get to meet certain people that you just kind of click with. And that's not to say that, all of our association leaderships, we're not family and we're not available to them. But for whatever reason, I was introduced to Anthony Rogers a couple years ago at a Mardi Gras, and man, we just hit it off. We have a lot of the same characteristics with being loud and proud, and so we became good friends. And he's right there in Lake Aries area, and we have Anthony Rogers, the Galveston Municipal Police Association's president. So welcome to the Blue Grit.
I appreciate y'all having me.
Yeah,
it's been a long time. We've been trying to get on here for a while.
Yeah, it has been. So the Anthony Rogers.
Anthony Rogers.
Yeah, he is loud and proud, and man, you've accomplished a lot since you become president of the local. And so we want to come out here and talk about some of the successes you've seen and some of the things that you might have changed over that time period. But yeah, welcome aboard.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So
we'd like to start with from the beginning. Who in the hell is Anthony Rogers? Where were you born? Where'd you grow up?
So I was born in Galveston. I went to school in Galveston.
You were OG.
Grew up in Galveston. BOIOG.
Man.
Absolutely, man. Both of my uncles were police officers. One of them in Galveston, retired as a sergeant. My grandfather retired as chief of police in Galveston back in 95, 96.
Wow, that's cool.
So I'm third generation. And as proud as I am to be third generation, I hope it stops with me because I don't want my kids to get in this business anymore, man. It's not what it used to be. Yeah,
you hear that a lot now.
Yeah, I wish I didn't. I wish I didn't say that, but
yeah, no, it's true. It's true.
I got 2 kids. Live up the road in League City now, so yeah, that's me, man. Born.
What is it like growing up? And I've been to Galveston multiple times, both on business trips and personal trips, and it's just kind of it seems like an odd place. You're on an island. Like, what is it like growing up there on the island and going to school? As a kid,
it's like a giant small town.
It is. It's a town that on a Tuesday it can be 60,000 people, and that same Saturday, 5 days later, it's 300,000 people.
Yeah. Wow.
As a kid, you enjoy the summers and people all over the place, and now you enjoy the winters when it's quieter. There's not as many people around, so it's good though, man. I enjoy Galveston, minus the hurricanes, of course.
Right.
But other than that, it's a great place to live. It's a great touristy area, I guess. If especially in Texas, it's not going to be overpricey, and you can take your family and friends and go have a good time. I know you've come down there quite a few times.
Yeah. What level of hurricane? Because I know I texted you a couple weeks ago. There was a hurricane that hit the Houston area.
Yeah. And
Galveston had some flooding, but it didn't even hit Galveston. It was just the amount of rain that you guys got.
The dirty side. Y'all get the dirty side on that, I guess.
I don't remember which one.
It was the hurricane before this last one.
Beryl.
Yeah, Beryl.
Common spelling.
Yeah, common spelling.
Yeah.
Beryl was a Wednesday in Galveston, man. That was
Right, yeah.
We do that with our hands tied.
So that's what I'm saying. Is like, what level are you like? Oh shit. Okay. This we probably need to put some.
Man, I
extra
tell you what.
precautions.
I think we've had so many hurricanes that they're all just second nature. We know what we're doing. We know where we're going. Which is funny. One of our old sergeants sent an email out back in the day of what you need to remember: extra socks, extra underwear, baby wipes, stuff like that, right? And that email he's retired now, been retired, and that email still goes out every year.
Wow.
So it's second nature, man. It really is. It's the scariest part for me is having to send your family down the road, and you're hoping that they're okay. And a lot of times, especially back during Ike and Rita and all that, they're getting caught in all this traffic, and you're trying to get them out of there. Where you're just like, okay, I'm sitting in this hotel room, just twiddling my thumbs, waiting for this hurricane to come through.
I didn't grow up on the coast around hurricanes, and I know as first responders, you don't leave. What level of tropical storm or hurricane is it where locals who are kind of used to that, where they're like, it's just another storm, or this one is when we need to punch out? Is there a number in there that when you send your family or when most families flee?
I'd
or
say
when
once
you
you
choose
get to
to
about a 3. It's time.
So one, y'all will ride out of one, or most citizens will ride out of one?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, during hurricanes, you said a hotel. Does the department pay for y'all to be all at one hotel, or do y'all?
Yeah, so they have a contract with the St. Louis and the Hilton. And all
That's
that.
a hell of a
They
hotel to be at.
It is. It's a nice one.
Yeah.
But they have a contract with them, and they house us, city workers, fire department, PD,
Everybody.
the whole city. They have a contract that during a hurricane that they pay for. I don't
So
know
the-
how the city does it.
Right,
but that's
right,
what we
right.
know, yeah.
PD, I guess when y'all are all at the St. Louis, PD is staged and kitted up, and I guess fire guys are doing like pedicures
They're normal
and getting
stuff.
massages.
Yeah, they're
the
normal
normal
stuff.
normal
Yeah.
stuff.
And they're working out and cooking eggs.
Yeah, they're used to sleeping 4 or 5 to a room.
Through a
so-
storm.
Through
a storm.
Yeah, that's interesting. But I mean, like that.
We love you guys. We love you,
That
firemen.
mentality. Like I've never. I mean, I wouldn't know what the hell to do. I'd be
I wouldn't
scared
either.
shitless.
I would have thought at one, you Lee. I didn't know. I didn't know,
Yeah,
honestly.
if you say anybody who says they're not a little nervous,
Oh, yeah,
it's full
of
of
course.
shit because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I've always wanted to ride out a 3 or higher, like in a house by myself. Somebody dropped me off with some beer or water.
It's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
That's a
Well,
terrible
I know. And I was going to do it with my dad, which would have been a more of a worse idea because he was not anything athletic at all. Not saying that I am, but it would have been. I think I want to do it at least once.
Because if you're athletic, you'll survive a storm.
Yeah. Well, you got to be able
What
to
level
swim.
of athlete do you have to be to survive a storm? I don't know.
Yeah.
What's funny is growing up in North Texas, I only grew up around tornadoes. And probably 15 years ago when storm chasers first were coming out, and you could pay like $2,000 and go to Kansas and ride with, I can't think of, there was like 3 groups up there that were doing these storm chasers. I was saving up money to go
Oh wow.
to go ride with them and like intercept a tornado. And I can't remember. I think it was 2013. I went through a tornado and I'm like,
I'm good.
No, I'm good. I want zero part of that ever in my life. And I'd almost paid money to go do it. And after actually going through it, I'm like, I'm pretty much scared of.
I think tornadoes are scarier than hurricanes, in my opinion. Hurricane, at least you know the hurricane's coming.
Right.
Tornado just pops up.
What
middle
does
of the
scare me
day.
like the hurricanes at night because you can't see where the water's at.
Yeah.
That's what's kind of terrifying to me. But anyway. But yeah, so you've been, how long have you worked for Galveston? And I mean, obviously you had some indications or at least want to work there with your history, past history, with all your family working there. But what year did you start? How long have you been there? What have you done for them?
Yeah, so I started the sheriff's department. I was in the jail for, I don't know, 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
I enjoyed my time in there.
Intake or in a pod?
I started off in the pod and then I worked intake. I enjoyed my time in there. And then
There's a lot to learn as a young person. There's a lot to learn working in the jail.
it really teaches you how to talk to people. You know what I mean? You don't have a taser and pepper spray and all. I think now they have tasers, but back then, I mean, you had a pair of handcuffs tucked in the small of your back and in your fist, and that was about it.
Yeah.
There was my son's football game Friday night. There's a SRO came up, got to talking to me, and he's been an SRO for a couple of years, but he worked in Dallas County Jail for, I think he said 12 or 14 years.
Hell yeah.
And he's still a pretty young dude. And I said, we have a podcast we talk about the education on. He's like, sir, you can't imagine with the education. And I said, well, the cool part is, as a young person, you learn deconfliction, de-escalation. You learn it pretty quick because, to your point. And I said, but you learn how to read people. You know, you're a 19, 20-year-old kid, and you got all these 40-year-old con artists always trying to run a game on you. And he's like, man, I learned so much. He goes, I was a young, dumb kid. I had a pod with 45 dudes in there that all been to the penitentiary their whole life. And, man, you ought to get an associate's degree for working in the jail because of the education you get.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, they have nothing but time. You know, it's and having all that time is more valuable than having a phone and being able to Google and YouTube stuff. I mean, those guys there's some master con artists.
I asked this the other day with Jay McClellan. He was working down at Fort Bend County Jail. Did you guys have the guys that set their jumpsuits underneath the mattress and had their shit like starched like better than Sunday?
Oh yeah.
That amazed me. That alone, like that, but that kind of traits, like it happens all over the place. Like, I mean, obviously they go from jail to jail to jail, but making hooch and stuff in the trash bag and it was interesting.
Those dudes are amazing, man. And then you talk about the SRO. So I worked the school program for the county because they contract for the Clear Creek schools. So I worked that for a while after that, and it's almost getting an education with convicts and then going to work with teenagers. It's like, holy crap! It's night and day.
I can't imagine you as an SRO.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the kids. I enjoyed the staff. The parents could be
what level of school were you at? Junior high?
I only did high schools.
That's fine.
I never did the junior highs, which the high schools are fun.
Yeah,
kids are fun.
That SRO was telling me a story Friday night. He had a uncle coming to pick a kid up at his school the day before, so last Thursday. This uncle from South Dallas showed up to pick his kid up, to pick his niece or nephew up, gets out of the car, holding the line up, gets out, and starts like gangbanging in the drive and running his mouth and thugging. And he said, if I hadn't worked in the jail for so long, he said, I immediately started reading his tats and started telling him, hey, this ain't bon ton, man. You're not pulling you up in here with your bond. And he goes, and he said immediately, the guy's like, oh crap. He goes, because I pretty much read his life to him quickly. And he goes, if I hadn't worked in the jail, I would have had no idea what to. He goes, because the dude clearly been in prison his whole life, gangster looking dude. He goes, but as soon as he realized I knew it, he was like, oh, hey, I don't want no problem, sir. He goes, he went back and got in his car.
Boss.
And he goes, because of my time in the jail, I shut down an incident Thursday in my school. I'm like, well, that's a clear example.
How beneficial, you being in CID, right now you're in CID, how beneficial has it been for you interviewing suspects that have had that lifestyle?
You know what's what's most beneficial as far as being in CID is I work in CID and I'm from Galveston, and regardless of where you're from, Galveston, it's different. Talking to people from Galveston and having some built-in relationships around Galveston, that's what's really, really helped me the most in CID.
Okay. Gives you cred.
That's what's really helped me the most in the CID world is being from Galveston.
Yeah. That makes sense.
OG. What's weird about Galveston, when I was down there, swearing in their board, I was talking to him and just some of the OG guys, and I'd never thought about it. But they were like, yeah, if you kill an officer here or if there's a bank robbery, we close the island. I'm like, what do you mean you close the island? They're like, well, there's only two ways on, and we close both of them. So you do something salty here, you're not leaving. I'm like, holy crap.
That's pretty cool.
That's freaking cool, man.
We got one that tried another way of leaving a couple weeks ago.
That's right.
He got a nice kiss from one of our dogs.
Yeah.
I was... He tried to leave a different way, and that didn't work either. So.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that because it's extremely important of why your city leadership needs to invest in something like that. So how long? So you worked for this SO for 12 years. About what year did you go to work for Galveston?
So I went to Galveston in 2016. Worked night watch patrol for 4 years, and then I've been up in CID for 4 years. So
yeah,
did you go through academy again, or did you lateral?
No, I lateral. I had to do the in-house academy. Which is, back then it was a little tougher than it is now. It's like a boot camp almost. But
so you had to go back to the academy?
Just the in-house, the GPD academy. It's like a 6-week in-house academy we have. So that was cool. That was fun. I'm full of shit. That was not fun at all. It was terrible. We got our ass kicked for 6 weeks, but it was it was an experience, man. It was an experience. It make you earn it down there.
Was it y'all's recruits, or was it a SWAT class that I saw getting in the surf?
Just recruits.
Surf dunking.
That's recruits.
I like
That's
it.
what that is. It's
I
an
like
in-house
it.
academy, yeah.
And how much of y'all's in-house academy do y'all cover, like water safety and that kind of aspect of it? Is there a Marine patrol with Galveston?
Yes, there is. We have a Marine division. When I went through it, they didn't do so much water safety.
Yeah.
Now they have a day that's just swimming water. I mean,
Wow.
one day a week that they go out and kick their ass in the water. And I mean, we got in the water. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you said you saw it. We got in the water. We got our ass kicked in the water. But now I think it's a little bit more educational in the water.
Educational, not
it's
punitive.
It's a little more educational than just getting your ass kicked.
That's cool. That's fascinating to me though, because I didn't have that going to my academy. So
it's fun, man.
I never would have thought about that either. But I guess surrounded by water,
yeah.
you better have a concept of if you got a scrap in the water.
And looking back on it, it really makes you feel like you have a sense of like you earn. You don't just walk in the hand your badge. You got to earn it. So. Because, I mean, we have people I don't remember the last class we've had that somebody hadn't quit because of the in-house academy.
And y'all are kind of it's a different breed too. It's almost like a huge puzzle because not everybody that really goes to Galveston is from there. Like it's got a mixture of people from outside that really want to come to Galveston and work there.
Man, what's funny is I believe, this is a couple years back, I know we had the highest crime rate in the county. But we have all these people that come in for these interviews and stuff, and like, what do you know about Galveston? No, I mean, I know the beach and I know the Strand downtown and all that. And I'm like, cool, that's cute. Like you're never gonna see that beach. Like if you think you're just gonna ride up and down the beach on patrol every day, we try to avoid it.
Yeah.
Unless there's a call up there. I mean, we definitely patrol it, but we have a unit that's assigned to the Seawall district every day. But if trying to get across town to calls, you try to avoid it because traffic's so backed up and it's so slow up there. So
for those that don't know, Galveston's a rough city. It's a rough city, not because of the lack of police presence or the lack of police efforts. It's just one of those things that it's just they eat their own kind of. It's rough, man. It's
always
rough.
has been.
Good place to do police work.
So, at what point, getting involved with the association, what sparked your interest? What kind of led you to say, man, I kind of want to do this. I want to get involved.
I mean, I really don't know. When the person that was president before me was going to run again, and I decided I want to do something different and give it a shot, and I did. And I think he was honestly happy that I did because he was like, "Cool, man, you got it. I'm stepping out. Like there's no election. Like you got it." And he, the guy that had it before me, I think he started off as like the secretary. President stepped down, so the VP stepped up, kind of like Rachel in Texas City.
Yeah.
Right, and then he ended up at the top, and that wasn't really his plan.
Right.
And he did a good job of keeping things afloat. But I think he was burned out on it too.
Yeah.
So.
It takes a certain person want to be in law enforcement, and then to add to the headache of a tough career and to want to be in the association. It takes unique people. It's not something where you're just going to go through the motion. If you go through the motion, you're not going to have success. And so for somebody that's already in a challenging career that wants to jump on association board and then work their way up through leadership, it takes certain people. I mean, it's like trying to find somebody that's good at interrogations or somebody at SWAT or a canine handler. It's not just somebody that's going to go through the motions.
Yeah, I mean, and I've made $0 off of being the Tmpa president, by the way.
Yeah.
But it's a nonstop gig, man. It's every day. And we had an OIS last night, and I was driving up here, and I probably got 40, 50 phone calls. Leighton probably got tired of me calling him back 100 times, but it's all right.
He needs that, though.
He does. Yeah. He does. It keeps him on his toes.
To your point about not making $1, if I could wish members across Texas understood, just members of their locals, that what I wish they could understood, and it's not a pity party or needing a praise. Local leadership doesn't get paid a penny. How many times do you think a week or a day, how many times do you think your phone rings? Not related to the police department, POA business. Hey, I need to bounce something off of you. Hey, I just got a bad eval. How many times do you think a day or a week your phone rings?
I mean, I can tell you it's 10:30 right now. I think I'm about 7 or 8 before we walked in the room today. So
7 calls in,
yeah,
and not a penny earned.
not a penny earned.
Yeah, so it takes a passion, and I don't say
does.
that because he needs pity or any of your boards, but just something to think about sometime when you're pissed, like, well, my board didn't do anything, or my board hadn't had a meeting in 2 months. Their phone's ringing every day, all day, over various issues, some important, some not important, but it takes time away from family or trying to eat dinner, and a lot of our business goes down at night, so it's trying to grab a bite to eat and the phone's ringing, or trying to see the kids for a few minutes and the phones are ringing.
And the important thing about that is that you have let's just be honest, okay? You have two different kind of local associations. You have the ones that are active, and you have the ones that stay active and have that social media presence, and they're ready to fight when it's needed.
Galveston's, Plano's.
And then you have the ones that are simply a retirement fund for the retirement party fund or the Christmas fund, association.
Only.
Yeah. It depends on what association that your association wants to be, right? Because all of them want to be in the fight when it's needed, but to maintain that, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work.
And I think any association can be on both sides.
Yes.
Simultaneously. Yes.
I mean, and I've seen our association, back before I got here. It was before I got to GPD. Period. I've seen it be strong. I've seen it be weak. I've seen it be strong. I mean, it's all based on the leadership, man. It really is, and it's all based on people willing to do things that you're not really getting paid for.
The analogy I use, and I don't mean war when I say war, but you as the president at Galveston, you keep it high functioning, engaged, relevant, and you build political capital, and you keep collecting political capital. Those that allow it during the off-peak or when things aren't going on, and they allow things to kind of fall behind or to let it kind of go defunct, those are they're the ones that'll call and be like, hey, everything just went sideways. We need to do a management survey. We need to get our chief out of here. We need this or we need that. And I'm like, all right, well, how big's your army? Well, we don't have one. Well, you can't go to war when you don't have an army. Well, then we'll build our own real quick. I'm like, well, you don't build an army after you've gone to war. You build your army during peace, and then you pray you don't ever go to war. And if you do, your army's ready.
Yeah.
And that's the benefit of operating like you've operated Galveston and numerous others across the state is when you always have a pocket full of political capital and you always have engagement and you're using social media and you have a team and you have your army, as I call it, put together, then if it goes sideways, you're ready.
Yeah.
You've already got equipment staged, people ready, you're ready to go. But man, when people call and they're like, well, I don't even have a local association, but I need to get my chief gone tomorrow. Like,
I mean, so when I first, and we'll get on this eventually, but I guess, but when I first took over, one of the bigger things that I really, really wanted to do was enhance the social media, just the social media presence, right? And then start using social media in our favor, because it's a powerful tool. I mean, you know as well as anybody, it's a very, very, very powerful tool. But we got that going, and I don't think you build that army quick. It's not easy to build that army. You have to build some trust. People have to know that you're going to fight for them, and then they slowly get on board. So we've done that, and I say we because we have a good team. We have a really, really good team. We have a good team of people that are on the board. We have a good team of people who are not on the board. They're just members. I mean, I got a retired Pearland guy that's a sergeant for us, Jeff Murdoch. I lean on him for everything. I lean on him for advice, to tell me, hey, whoa, hold on. I'll type something out that I'm about to send on social media, and I'll send it to him, and he'll be like, all right, give me a few minutes, and he'll edit it and make it sound a little nicer, and send it back to me. And people that don't even work there anymore. I lean on Jimmy, De Los Santos like crazy. For advice, just which direction to go, and things like that.
And that's your first point to that. It takes time. You don't build cred or influence in 2 days.
Yeah.
It takes time and repeated effort to build that cred, that political capital, the trust of your members, the trust of the community, trust of your department. That comes over time.
Yeah.
Can you recall one of your first battles, not your first war, but your first little, kind of a little throat punch whenever you took over?
Man, I think it's funny you asked that. I think our first battle we're still fighting, and that's the flock thing.
Yes.
I mean, I think we started that over a year ago, and it was we went to bargaining. We had our collective bargaining. I'm gonna say July, August of last year, and then we started the flock fight right after that, and that was big. That was a big fight, and that we're still fighting for some.
Which is insane to me.
It is. It is.
Explain the flocks. People may not, the non-law enforcement may not even understand what flock is.
So flock's just it's LPRs. It's license plate readers that are stuck on poles in different cities, and they put them up, and it records every license plate that runs past that camera all day, every day, and it's shared with different groups nationwide. And if I'm looking for a certain license plate, I can log it in there, and if it pops up on one of those flock cameras, it alerts me. The guy who killed the Harris County deputy.
Yeah, just the other day, there was a situation in Harris County. For those that don't know, that may not be in the area, Harris County deputy Harris County deputy constable was essentially shot and killed. That's still under investigation for the reason why. But there was a license plate given out, and it was in Houston. And it seems like it's regional based, right? Mm-hmm. You got Houston, you have Dallas, you have Austin, San Antonio. I'm sure it's like that out in West Texas. But for whatever reason, when they put that license plate in there, it hit regionally, and you guys were notified of it. I mean, how important would, and I can understand why anybody in any city government would not be on board for something that makes your citizens safer.
Yeah. So it's funny, man, because I got a picture of a bunch of cops in League City that was near my house. And somebody sent it to me like, "Hey, what's going on?" I said, "I don't have any idea." I called Skinny, and I'm like, "Hey, what's going on?" And they said that guy hit on flock in League City. I was like, "Oh shit!" Then a couple hours later, our dogs, giving them a nice kiss in the water and pulling them out of the water in Galveston. But that was pure luck and good old fashioned police work. And there was no flock cameras, there was no help, there was no assistance given from technology, and the fact that we're still having to fight to have the assistance of technology in a situation like that is just it's crazy to me.
I think if the majority of the citizens in Galveston understood the benefit of the flock system, that council member that is causing the issues would be gone the next election.
It's actually the city
attorney.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. So it's a city attorney who's causing all the issues.
He would be gone because I live in Forney. And I was telling Curtis, one of our field reps, about that issue, and he said the last 3 shootings they worked were caught because of flock. Mm-hmm. 3 shooting suspects in a row caught because of flock.
Yeah.
And is it because of his political views? If he doesn't believe that it's like an invasion of privacy, or like what is his reasoning behind it?
He's playing. I honestly don't know. I don't want to say it's because of his political views because I don't know.
Yeah.
But he's playing every card that he can to keep these cameras out of Galveston.
Wow.
First he played they're owned by a Chinese-based company, and of course that was when the TikTok was owned by China thing was going on, and they're spying on you and all this stuff was going on. And now he's playing it's not a sole source. It has to be bid out, and HPLU's actually helped us with it, and they send us all their sole source, stuff, and it can be sole sourced.
What in-car cameras do you use?
We use Polaris.
Okay, because Axon's new camera coming out that I'm sure everybody's going to go to, and it will be the only option. Their in-car camera reads the lane you're in both adjacent lanes, real-time, nonstop. It reads every lane flock, full-time. So as you're driving, every car you pass that is wanted, stolen car, whatever it is, it's reading it real time, all 3 lanes,
Do they have some type of agreement with Flock, or is that joint? That's pretty cool.
And so for every agency in the country that goes to that, they'll be reading Flock real time, 3 lanes. As you drive down the road, you're getting, hopefully there's not many hits, but, stolen car, wanted person, whatever it is. And at some point, if technology moves towards that, or if y'all go to Axon, Flock's coming.
That's cool. I do want to hit on something real quick because you guys, Galveston's a pretty large city. Houston's damn sure really big. For the rural law enforcement out there, I want you to hear me out when I say this. Do not fall short and get lazy and not put the full information into a warrant when you have your dispatch enter it. It happened often in East Texas where I worked at because license plates are becoming more prevalent across the state and the nation. And when you take the time to find out the suspect or the target's information as far as their license plate, what the hell they're driving, put that shit in. Like take the 5 minutes to do your research and do your homework and put that information in because it potentially could pay off, especially when it comes to like aggravated crimes and stuff like that. So I just want to throw that out there.
And to back up for non-police listeners, the big scare around Flock, it's not, you didn't pay your bills on time or you don't have insurance. That's not what Flock system is. It's telling us that car's stolen. It's telling us that the license plate on that car is stolen. It's telling us the person in that car, is wanted for some bad crime. It's not, well, that person hadn't paid their insurance lately, or that person, that's not what the Flock system does. So any pushback that you hear about it, it's either a lack of education on it, of ignorance, or they don't want your community to be safe. That's the only 2 things. Because anything else is complete ignorance. Yep. Why someone wouldn't want their community to have the ability to be safer, you better be looking at the money or looking at their politics, because otherwise they're failing you as a leader.
I probably need to hook Mackenzie Kelly. Austin had the same situation happen, but probably about this time last year, where she raised hell with the city. She's a council person, the only pro law enforcement.
She's a fireball. She's awesome.
And well, she raised hell about it because they are all pushing back against Flock. And it was because of political it was simply saying that they thought it was an invasion of privacy and so forth. And
which is ignorance.
Yeah, exactly. And so one or two things happened. One, it was there was some type of violence that happened against law enforcement. And Flock, it was before the expiration of the contract ended. It helped locate the suspect. And 2, there was a shitload of burglaries going on that led to a homicide. And if it wasn't for the Flock system, yet again, they relied on Flock to solve the case, and they kind of backed off a little bit. I think they have it now, and it got renewed, but it was vacant there for a while. And the minute that everybody knew, because it was a huge storyline, the minute that it went public that Flock was not in existence, the crime rate spiked up.
Wow.
It's just interesting. So
the invasion of privacy thing is funny to me because we could all 3 go walk around the block here, and we'd probably be on 10, 15 people's cameras and at their houses and businesses and restaurants and everything else, and just walking outside. And, if you're that worried about your invasion of privacy.
Well, my argument was whenever we were fighting, helping y'all fight this, a reporter called, and I said this, and I said, so let me get this straight. It's okay for law enforcement, completely legal, for us to run a license plate, check registration, going down the highway. I said, can you tell me why that is? They were like, just because y'all have the ability. I said, no, it's not, because it's because it's a what? It's a public road, right? It's a public roadway. And there was no response. So hopefully we'll get that straightened out, or the city attorney can pack his shit, go on down somewhere else.
And it's a complete lack of ignorance, because that'd be like saying, well, I don't want there to be cameras in a bank. Well, unless you're intending to rob a bank, why do you care?
Yeah.
Why do you care unless you're intending to rob a bank?
Man. Yeah. And that's what, that's my biggest question as far as the city attorney is. What are you hiding? Mm-hmm. What do you have to hide? Because the chief, every member of council now is on board with it. The city manager's on board with it. I don't understand.
Ignorance or follow the money?
Yeah, one of the two.
100%. Well, it wasn't that long after all that, another little battle kind of took place, and it had everything to do with PR bonds and inmates being released from Galveston County Jail. Start at the beginning and kind of navigate through that challenging time, because that was interesting how that all played out. On the next episode of Blue Grid Podcast.
We met a big drug bust. Guy lived actually about 200 feet from the school. And our guys did a ton of work. Made a huge drug bust on a guy that's a multiple time offender. It's known for selling dope. And I don't remember the exact numbers now. I think the bond was like $250,000 that the DA set, or recommended, if you will.
Right.
And guy got to the magistrate court and his bond got reduced to like $75,000.